Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is September the 4th. It's a Thursday today. Decent amount of things to go over. We do have some red folder news here as well. So I'll show you guys what we're looking at coming into today. Before we head on to the charts and look at some of the things that I'm looking at coming into this morning. Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Good morning, Hartik, B Roots. Good morning, Jeff, Monty, Ryan, Andreas, Willie, Porto, Sinna, 50, Franklin, Easy. Good morning, Martin. Good morning, Robert, Detecto, Wayne, Juan, Victor. I am Ashcon, Norwin, Vic, Daniel, Philip, Millie. What's up, Luis, True, Miss Reggie, Patrick, Life, Kenneth, Kurum. What's up, Daniel, Todd? Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Before we get started, I actually forgot. We do have an event coming up, so I'm not sure if you guys noticed or have heard. If you guys do want to register for the priority waitlist, that is going to be, I think it's going to be at the end of the month. So if you guys do want to register for that and get more updates, we've been working on that for a while now. It's an event. We're going to teach you guys on exactly how to go from scratch to become a profitable trader. It's going to be a 3-day event, not to give anything away too much, but if you guys do want to join that we do have a wait list that is in the description below. Before we get started, if you guys do enjoy this, appreciate if you guys drop me a like. Let me pull up the Forex Factory here as well. So coming into this morning, for some red folder news events that we do have on Thursday, we do have some ADP non-farm enrollment. That's in about 15 minutes here. Then we have unemployment, and then we have ISM that is going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we have a decent amount of red folder news, at least this morning. And then tomorrow we have some more red folder news, which is going to be at 8:30, which is going to be the non-farm enrollment. So at least that's for the red folder news wise. Now let's go on to some of the charts that I'm looking at coming into today. First things first, let's go on to the ES, since the ES is the more bullish ticker here compared to the NQ, and it's a little bit more cleaner. So the key levels that we have marked out is our 6460. That was a level we wanted to see reclaim yesterday, and now we also have our 6430 level. So for the ES yesterday, really didn't do too much, right? We kind of just consolidated in between this range, kind of went to the top of the range later into the session, but primarily just a lot more consolidation, at least right off the bat, and then eventually we end up having a super nice move actually later into the day right off that 6430 key level. And currently you can see we're basically above your previous day highs, above your 6460 coming to market open. So for the ES coming to market today, what I'd like to see is the hold above your 6460 for a potential push up and towards your pre-market highs and above. So that's what I like to see for the ES coming to market open. What I don't want to see is really break back underneath, and then it's just going to come right in between yesterday's range. So for the key levels today, it's going to be that 6460 here on the ES. If we go onto the SPY chart, key levels that we have marked out is our previous day highs, which in this case is our 644. So coming to market open, we're above your previous day highs, showing a little bit of strength here in the last kind of 30 minutes of yesterday's close. And now you can see we're above your previous day highs here in the pre-market. What I would like to see is to really maintain above your 644 if you want to see any sort of continued push back towards the upside. If we get back underneath, as I mentioned, your 644, we're just going to come right back in between yesterday's range, which is that 644 and this 641.50. So we like to see the hold above your previous day highs if you want to see any sort of continuation here on the overall markets. As for the NQ, key levels that we have marked out on the NQ is our 23,440. This is the area that we broke down from, and now you can see NQ, we're above that level. We're closer to your previous day high. So for the NQ, as long as you maintain above your 23,440, you're going to be leaning a little bit more towards the upside. If you want to see some downside, reject off your previous day highs, get back underneath that 23,440 and potential continuation back towards the downside. So key levels today for me, exact same levels as yesterday, is going to be your 23,440 here on the NQ. As for the QQQ, key levels, exact same thing, basically the area that we broke down from, which is your 569. So 569, you can see kind of multiple touches yesterday coming to market open, just kind of consolidated around this general level. Now for some more upside, I like to see it above your previous day high. So we have two scenarios here. Scenario number one, break above your previous day highs, hold for a push up and towards your your 574. Another scenario is a pullback all the way back down and towards your 569 and a push back towards the upside after that. So that's what we have here for the Qs coming to market open along with the along with the ES and SPY. If you want to see some downside, I'm only interested in downside really if it can get back underneath this 569. So if QQQ rejects off this area, I'd be a little bit more interested if price got all the way back underneath this 569, holding underneath this level for this pushback towards the downside. So for the Qs, key levels that we can also have marked out is just now going to be your previous day highs, which we can drag this over 571.50s. And then we also have your 569. So those are the levels I have for the major indices coming into today. The key level is going to be your SPY previous day high 644, which we'll keep an eye out on, which is a very key level, as you can see here, multiple touches. So we'll keep an eye out on the SPY previous day highs coming into market open. As for some of the tech names that we can be looking at coming into today, first things first, we have Google here. So this one had news yesterday that really drove the market back towards the upside. You can see kind of opening push right off the bat, continuation higher. And now you can see kind of hold of your 228. So we have a couple levels marked out here on Google. We can now mark out your previous day highs, which is going to be this 232. And we can also mark out your after hours highs as well, which would be your 230. So we can adjust this level even if we like as well. So we can mark this out, which is going to be our after hours high. So coming into Google for this morning, what I'd like to see is a couple of things. So this one is still fairly bullish just because of the big push towards the upside. But for Google, I'd like to see if it dips right off the bat, you like to see the reclaim back above your 230 for a continuation higher, or now you like to see it above your previous day highs. So these are the levels you could have marked out. Google, I'm still fairly bullish on as long as you can reclaim back above key levels or push right off the bat for continuation higher. Just because of the news that we had, you can see we're up around 9%. So if Google pushes right off the bat, we could be looking for continuation. If it drops right off the bat, then be a little bit more cautious on it today and most likely wait for a higher time frame setup just because it's up 9%. So if it drops right off the bat, you don't want to touch it. If it pushes higher, then you could be looking for continuation above its previous day high. So that's what we have for Google. As for a few other names, I'll just go down the list here. As for Apple, this one I'm still fairly bullish on here. You can see nice retest. This was also affected by the news yesterday here as well. So the key levels that we have marked out is our previous resistance now turning into support. You can see that Apple is holding this level, which is our 235. Now what I like to see is really the break above your 239 for continuation towards the upside. So that's what I have for Apple coming to market open. It's going to be the break above your 239 hold for this continued push up and towards your 240 and above. So we'll keep an eye out on Apple coming to market open. As I mentioned, for the break and hold above your 239, this is going to be my top watch coming into market open, just because yesterday a little bit more consolidation. Now the break above, this is going to be a flat top break retest for continuation towards the upside. So Apple, my top watch coming to market open. As for a few other tickers here, AMD, this one's showing a little bit of weakness here in the semis, kind of as the market's pushing back higher. You can see overall semiconductors just been showing a little bit of weakness, so not really too much is going on here on AMD. Key levels that we have marked out is our 158. So we have our 158 key level marked out, which is our higher time frame level of support. We also have our 169, and then I also drew out this level here, which is our 162. So for AMD coming into today, if we're on the 1 hour chart, you can see if you want to see some downside here, it's going to be underneath your 159. Hold underneath this level for continuation lower. It's going to be underneath now. It's going to be underneath now. Higher time frame key level support, last week's key levels here as well. Sorry, this is actually your Monday's lows if you want to see continuation. If you want to see a potential kind of bounce here, that's also in play, similar to what happened on Tuesday, is kind of this bounce play off your 159. I'm not as interested in this just based off of the price action that we had the past few days with the market bouncing and this not bouncing. The key levels is going to be that 159 here on AMD. As for Tesla, not really too much to talk about this name, just kind of big directions either side, not really a clear move, right? You had some nice intraday price action, but ultimately kind of faded off towards the downside. So a little bit, definitely a little bit more trickier to trade on a couple of these tech names. But for Tesla, as price action coming into today, key levels that we have marked out 333, and now we can also mark out your previous day highs as well, which is closer to this 344. We can actually just readjust this. So 344 previous day highs, and we also have our 333 and that 329. So coming to market open, 333 previous pivot point. We also have your previous day high marked out. We're about to open right in between the middle of the range. I'll be a lot more cautious on this one. Most likely no trades within the first 15 and 30 minutes on Tesla. So we'll just keep that in mind, but we'll just have alerts set at the top and bottom of the range here. As for NVIDIA, this one's getting tighter here. So consolidation the past couple of sessions. This one still to me looks like it could continue lower as long as it holds underneath that 172. So based off the 1 hour chart, you can see we're just basically at the bottom of the range here, which is your 169. But if we can show some weak price action, potentially we can see some continuation lower here. Underneath, now it's going to be that 168. So for NVIDIA, if you go onto the 15-minute time frame here, key levels that we have marked out is that earnings low. So that earnings low, you can see we have multiple touches here. If it wants to stay heavy underneath that earnings low, we can see continuation lower. Another scenario which I like better is going to be underneath that 169. If you can get underneath that 169, we can see continuation towards the downside, potentially down in towards that 165 if you can get underneath this level. If we just consolidate, which we are currently, break back above, then there's a possibility for a reversal in play. So we can keep that in mind here as well. If we get above, you're at 172, show some strength coming to market open, we can see a mean reversion back up and towards your 174 here and above, which would be your 175. So I'm open to playing NVIDIA both ways. I'm leaning a little bit more towards the downside here on the semiconductors, just based off of yesterday's price action and the higher time frame, since we are underneath that earnings low. But I will be open to playing both sides on this ticker. So that's what I have. As for a few other tickers here, Meta is showing some strength here in the pre-market. So you can see we have some news that's affecting this, pushing this towards the upside. Now you can see kind of defending the 724 reclaimed. If you go into the 1 hour chart here on Meta, really now after this reclaim of your 736, the next level that I have here on Meta is going to be all the way back up and towards your 756. So what I like to see here on Meta, if we go onto the lower time frames, is now we can have marked out a couple levels here, which is going to be your 746, and then we can also mark out our last week's key pivot levels here as well, which is going to be back up and towards our 752. So for Meta, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but you could be looking for that first dip for that push back up in towards your 752 here. This one I've been showing a little bit more weakness, so now we can be looking for this one. Sorry. Okay, so that's what we have for Meta. As for a few other tickers here, Amazon, this one had some news here as well, pushing this back towards the upside here in the after hour session. Now you can see we're well above your previous day highs, reclaiming back above key levels here as well. If you look at the 1 hour chart, really not that clear. We're just kind of going from range low back up and towards your range high, which is now going to be this 234. So for Amazon coming into today and moving forward, key levels that we have marked out is going to be your 231.50s, which is a very key level of resistance. And now we also have key levels here, which is your 230. We like to see it maintain above your 230 for this continued push towards the upside. So that's what we have for Amazon coming into today. We just had non-farm enrollment here as well, so I'll take a look at that in a second. As for Microsoft, still in between this range here, so no trades in between there. And then similar thing to Netflix, I'll just mark this chart out really quickly from range low and then really your range high, which is all the way back up and towards your 1250 here. So let me pull up the non-farm enrollment. It doesn't seem like the market is affected by that, but we do have a couple more red folder news events here as well, which will be your unemployment, and then we have ISM here. So non-farm enrollment came in lower than expected, as you can see, forecasted 73K, actually 54K. It seems like the market is not really being affected as much based off that red folder news event. We do have ISM, which is going to be at 10 a.m. So as for the overall market, key levels, still it's going to be this 571 previous day highs. And then for the SPY, similar thing here, previous day highs 644, which is going to be key. Okay, that is it for some of these watches here now. If you guys do have any charts or any tickers you'd like me to go over, you guys can drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, I appreciate if you guys drop me a like. As always, if you guys haven't joined the free watch list, that one is in the description below. Also, we have an event coming up as well. So if you guys want to join the wait list for that, you guys can do that as well. That one's also in the description below as well. Alrighty. All right, let me go over some tickers here. Good morning. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Let me go over some charts here. What news? I personally use Forex Factory. You can also go on Twitter as well. How much have you sized down in this past week? I missed beginning of August. Yeah, I barely been taking any trades this week. I've been a lot more hands off. The trades I did take, very little continuation. I haven't really found any solid setups that I like. You can see at least price action this week. Very right. You can see there's pretty big moves that are happening, but I wouldn't consider them really textbook. A lot more mean reversions, kind of bouncing key levels. Not really a clear direction in the market. The premiums could kind of get chopped up both ways. So I haven't really found something that I like personally that's like textbook. It's only been the first 2 days, but so far this price action I'm not really a fan of. We'll see what kind of shapes up coming to this week. There's still a couple nice charts that are setting up, like Apple and Google. And then, of course, AMD and NVIDIA have been consolidating the past few days. So these ones have some nice setups here as well. So we'll see what kind of shapes up coming to this morning, since we do have some nice higher time frame setups that are potentially forming. All right. Let me go over some names. IWM. Sorry. Could a stock be bullish when it gaps down overnight like Google? Could a stock be bullish when it gaps down overnight like Google gaps down? Or you're talking about today? It's gapping down, but the higher time frame is bullish. So, right, higher time frame, we're up 9%. We're up 9%. So you're bullish on Google no matter what, just based off of yesterday's price action and what we had in the after hours. So you're not going to be bearish on Google, right? It only gapped down 0.5%. So you'd be fairly bullish that you can expect this to continue higher, even though it's only down 0.5%. But any sort of dip that you have is probably going to get bought up and fill the gap or potentially gravitate back up and towards your previous day highs. So as for the IWM, this one, key levels that we have marked out, at least on the 1 hour time frame, is our 231.50s. You have your 235s, and we also have your 234s. So key levels that we have marked out on IWM. What I personally like to see for some upside is really now going to be the break above your 235.50, hold above that level for continuation back towards the upside. Currently, as you can see, we're kind of just right in between the middle of the range, so I'd be a little bit more cautious. I don't think there's too much opportunity around this 234, so I'd be waiting for the break above your 235.50 or now it's really going to be the break underneath that 231 and hold underneath this level. So in between here, I'll be a little bit more cautious. Look for scalps. The real move is going to occur above that 235.50. Can you use IBK or TradeStation or desktop fills better than trades? Better. Have you experienced a difference when you use IBK on your phone during your? Yeah, I personally like the phone and TWS. If I'm at home, then I'll use TWS, of course. If I'm on a trip, then I'll use the phone instead. Right? They're both fairly good. Of course, the TWS you have hotkeys and you can buy instantly, whereas the phone you just have to click a few more buttons. Non-farm enrollment, Figma is a stock going to short? Yeah, Figma has been weak as well. Let me go over some other tickers. So for Oscar, you can see this one's pushing back up nicely here now, reclaiming back above key level. So we just kind of went from higher low key pivot level. Now we're breaking above a key level of resistance, which is now your 1760s. Now what we like to see is really the hold above your 1760s for a continuation towards the upside. Next levels is really all the way back up and towards your 2024. So coming into this morning, what I would like to see is really all dips get bought up. Either it could come back down and towards your previous day highs continuation, or if it just kind of consolidates, right, look for kind of that first leg towards the upside here on this ticker. As for Hood, a lot more consolidation here as well. So Hood and a bunch of these semis are still kind of staying heavy here. So for Hood, you can see if we were to draw at this key level of support, which is your 99, you can see touch yesterday, touch on Monday, another touch back from last month. If we break underneath your 99, there's potential we can see some more downside here on Hood and some of the semiconductors on the overall markets. Palantir, this one, a lot of consolidation. Really haven't done too much in the past kind of few sessions, right? There's been some pretty big moves intraday, but really on the higher time frames, not that clear. Key level for Palantir is still going to be this 153. And we also kind of have this level marked out, which is your 158. So until we can close underneath your 158 with a weak candle closure, sorry, a strong candle closure underneath, or even underneath that 150, for upside, we like to see really break back above your 158, or now it's going to primarily be this 163 for more continuation. But for Palantir, key levels, we're going to have these ones marked out. As for SoFi, key levels that we have marked out on this name is still going to be that 25 key psych level. You can see kind of multiple touches in this general area. So far, if we do want to see upside, right, reclaim back above 25 for continuation. If we reject off this area, there is potential we could see some downside back down in towards that 2360s. Let's see. Apple's weakened a bit. Yeah, just weakened a little bit in the pre-market. Pre-market action doesn't matter as much. We'll see what kind of shapes up coming into market open. As for TIGR, this one pushing up nicely, kind of using your previous pivot points now as support for continuation higher. This one does have room back up and towards your all-time highs in this case, which will be your 1389. And we also have this level marked out, which will be your 1440. So if we're on the 1 hour chart, kind of see with earnings drop right into a key level. Next level is going to be this earnings high. So what I'd eventually like to see is kind of this push back up and towards your earnings high, which will be your 1360 and above on this ticker. As for HIMS, key level that we have marked out on HIMS, we can just mark out this level of support that we bounce from. And then now we can also mark out the top of the range, which in this case is basically our 46, right where we're at currently. So for HIMS, key level, we can just draw out this box. If we want to see some upside, right, break above 46, hold. If you want to see some downside, really underneath this 41 or potential kind of pop and fade. So whenever the higher time frame looks like this, at least on the 1 hour chart, we can expect a lot more mean reversions, right? Instead of having continuation above your 46, we can expect this to be kind of a reversal, like a pop and fade, right? Just based off of the 1 hour time frame in itself. So I'll be a little bit more cautious on most of these tech names if you are trying to go long. The best ones to go long are something that do have a higher time frame setup, and plus that has news, like something like Google or something even like Apple. Let's see, going to gold. Is the event interesting for Traders Lab members too? Yeah, you can join. It's for everyone. We also have some announcements for Traders Lab as well. We'll talk about that in Traders Lab. As for gold, this one finally pulling back after having a super big push towards the upside. I do expect most tips to get bought up. Previous level of resistance, I'd like to see turn into support for a continuation back towards the upside. Key levels on gold now that I'm going to have marked out really is just going to be this kind of like down close candle. So if I go into the 1 hour time frame, you can see we had this pretty big lower wick. So we had this big lower wick, but you can see we're holding this general area. If I was to draw this out, you can see wicked underneath, right? Body closed under above, and now we're just pushing back towards the upside. I would like to see now really this push back up and towards your all-time highs that we created, which is going to be your 35.78. So for gold, key levels that we can have marked out now, we can draw this level here as well. We can actually just extend this over. So the key level that we have marked out on gold here, at least coming into today, is going to be your 35.45. You can see a couple wicks here. If we do want to see any sort of pushback towards upside, reclaim back above this level for continuation higher. If we reject off this level, there's potential we just come back in between at least this range we have established for the past few hours, but the reclaim will send this back towards the upside here. MSTR. So for something like MSTR, this one's showing a little bit more weakness. So as you can see here for MSTR, breaking underneath key levels 332. If we hold underneath this level, next level 325 here and below. We also do have some more red folder news coming up in about 2 minutes. So we'll wait for that. And then once that forms, we'll develop our game plan coming to market open here. Let me scroll down. What are your levels for Apple? It's just going to be your previous day highs. That's the key levels I have marked out. Let's see. Let me go over a couple more tickers here as well. Why is it not important what happens? Why is it not important what happens in the pre-market? Do you think if we trade futures, extended hours is more important than the pre-market for tech names and indices? It's just because of volume, right? You got to think about it. Majority of the times, if you're looking at the SPY and Qs, it's just very little volume. Nothing really happens in the actual pre-market and after hours, right? Unless you have news or a big move, right? That's not going to matter as much. Like something like the SPY and Qs, right? If you look at the Qs, very little volume. Most volume occurs in the New York session. Right, the after hours and pre-market, something like Apple, the only time I pay attention to pre-market and after hours is when something like this happens. When we have Google News, this is the only relevant price action, and there's a lot of volume since we have news. So now we can pay attention to these pre-market levels, similar to Apple, right? Or something like, right, even AMD, right? Big drop, right? You can mark this high and low. If the markets are just consolidating like Meta, big move, you can pay attention to this. If the markets haven't moved, like something like Microsoft, right, you're not going to draw your pre-market highs and pre-market lows. It's not that relevant because there's not as much volume. So that's why, right, it's whatever has most volume, and the most volume always is going to occur around those previous day highs and previous day low levels. Okay, let's see. We have about 4 seconds here until some unemployment claims. I probably don't expect this to move the market either, but we'll see how this affects the market. What is the first real name of Tony, or is it a secret? You got to watch the video. No, it's his name's Raph. Or that's what we call him. Wait, hold up. Let's see. Okay, we just had some unemployment in the market. I'm not sure why it's not loading here. Let me actually just refresh this. All right, so came in a little bit higher than expected, but not by a lot, only 7K. So forecasted 230, came in a little bit higher than expected, 237. Yeah, basically unchanged. So for the overall markets coming into today here, key levels, previous day highs on the Qs, that's going to be key is your 571.50s for the SPY. Key level, previous day highs here as well, 644. If you do want to see upside, QQQ is going to have to get above your previous day highs. SPY is going to have to hold your previous day highs for continuation. If not, let's say within the first 15 minutes we just drop, then we're most likely just going to come back in between yesterday's range. So as you can see here, For the names that I'm looking for coming into market open, what we have is going to be Apple. What I like to see is the reclaim back above your previous day highs, break, hold, right? Pre-market levels, multiple touches here as well for continuation higher. This is going to be one of my top watches for the market open. I still like Google here as well for potential kind of dip and rip. A little bit of an interesting setup, but it's going to be the reclaim back above 230 for a pushback towards your previous day highs and above. So that's what we have here. As for a few other tickers that we have marked out, it's going to be your 159, 162, right? A couple key levels that we have marked out. We could see some more downside here on the overall markets if we break underneath this 159. So key level is 159. If we break underneath this level, we can see some continuation towards the downside. So we'll keep an eye out on AMD if it does want to head underneath your 159 and hold. As for a few other tickers here, Tesla, not too much interested in trading this one today. Nvidia, I'm open to playing both sides. So to me on Nvidia, we are at the low of the range here. We haven't really bounced, haven't showed some strength here compared to the overall indices. If Nvidia wants to show some weak price action, which is going to be staying heavy underneath this 172, I'll be interested in either looking for the pop and fade, but I personally would like underneath your 169 hold for a continuation towards the downside. So I'm going to keep an eye out on Nvidia coming into today, specifically if the markets want to show a little bit of weakness. So AMD and NVIDIA are my two names for some downside since the semiconductors have been a little bit weaker compared to the overall market. So I'll keep an eye out on those ones. And then for the rest of the names, Meta had some news here in the pre-market. Key level is going to be your 747. As for a few other tickers, Amazon also had news in the after hours, pushing up and towards your 231.50 here. Key level is going to be this 230 along with this 231.50. And then for the rest of the tickers, not too much I see here. We're just primarily going to be focusing on the SPY Qs then. So that's what we have. Even Palantir and Hood staying a little bit heavier compared to the overall market, especially Hood if we can get underneath key levels. So that's primarily what I have coming into market open today. We're going to be looking at Apple, as I mentioned. That's going to be one of our main focuses towards the upside, and then AMD and NVIDIA if the markets do want to drop. So that is going to be it for me today. Just remember, we do have some red folder news once again at 10 a.m. That's going to be the ISM services. So we'll see what happens within the first really 15 to 30 minutes of market open. The past two sessions, a little bit more of a choppier open. That's what happens when you have these big moves that happen either in the overnight session or in the pre-market or even at close. So whenever these big moves occur, that usually sets up for kind of a slower move in the New York session. So I wouldn't be surprised if another one where we just have a very small market open. So be a little bit more cautious during these market opens, right? There's nothing to be aggressive on unless you have news, something like Google or a higher time frame setup. Be a lot more cautious on the major indices and any of the names that you are trading, right? Wait for a 5-minute setup. A lot of the moves have been happening a little bit later into the session. So I would stick to the higher time frames here as well. So that's what we have. Let me see. I have some comments. If I join Traders Level, I have access to the Discord. That is correct. What's the difference between pop and fade and going towards the downside, right? Going like a pop and fade is pop and then you fade lower. Heading towards the downside would just be right, just kind of dropping right off the bat. So pop and fade is an opening play that we look for, especially if we have a trending thesis where price is already bearish, right? We want to see a pop where we can short into. Because if we're bearish, we want to buy in on a pullback. If we're bullish, same thing. We want to buy in on a pullback. We don't want to buy in as right price is already headed in our general direction. Okay. Let's see. Hey, would you ever consider a custom indicator on TradingView using entry/exit logic? That one be a little bit harder. I wouldn't say it's more discretionary, but the levels that we have drawn out, we do have an indicator that we use. Specifically for Traders Lab, but that's mainly about drawing levels and the levels that we base it off of, right? Since we use multiple levels, previous day highs, previous day lows, opening ranges, order blocks, right? So we'll take a trade based off of one of those levels, based off of the reaction, the context that we have in general. Okay, that is going to be it for me today. I'm gonna get ready for market open here now. I gotta do some things as well. All right, yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. If you guys did enjoy that, appreciate if you guys drop me a like and sub. If you guys want to join the watch list, that one's in the description below. Also, if you guys want to join priority waitlist for the event that we're having coming up as well, that one's also in the description below as well. Awesome. I will call it a day here, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. Peace.